This evening we have a presentation. We'll receive a presentation from the Caltrain Joint Powers Board and staff regarding the schedule for construction of the San Bruno grade separation. And this evening it's my pleasure to welcome Mark Simon, who is the Executive Officer for Public Affairs for Caltrain. Mark.
Good evening. Thank you for the chance to be here. I should add a personal note. I'm a former San Bruno Rotary Boy of the Month in 1969. So this is a particularly special occasion for me, having grown up and gone to Crestmore High School, and I don't know why they closed the damn place, but that's not for tonight's agenda. In November 28th, 2006, Mike Scanlon, the CEO of Caltrain, came to this city council and committed may not be the right word from your perspective, that we would begin work on the grade separation project in this town 5 years from then. We needed to delay it because we had some significant projects to work on, most of them coming under the heading of the state of good repair. I'm delighted to be here tonight to announce that we're ready to begin working on this project now, ahead of schedule, the schedule that Mike described. It is a project that's going to require an expedited effort because of the availability of a significant amount of state funding. We already have begun working very closely with your staff, Connie Jackson and Clara Fabry, who've been outstanding in terms of all the work we need to do, and a lot of which we need to do in a hurry. Present at today's meeting is staff from Caltrain, including Liria Lorano, who has been working very closely with your staff, Raphael Bolin, who is the project manager, and we shouldn't forget Rob Scarpino, who's one of our top rail engineers, and he's a San Bruno resident who served on the CAC for this project quite some time ago. And he's going to continue to be here to make sure we keep ourselves honest. This is an important project to Caltrain because it allows us to significantly improve the safety and operational status of this particular stretch of the railroad. It's also important to us because we know it's important to San Bruno. We recognize that this is a project that you see as a starting point for your own ambitious plans for the future of your city. And we're delighted and thrilled and proud to be part of that effort as we elevate the tracks, working together to elevate San Bruno. So let me introduce Liria Lorano, who is going to make a presentation on the project, and of course we're available to answer your questions.
Thank you.
Good evening. As the manager of the Caltrain Capital Program, the San Bruno Grade Separation Project is looked at as one of the most important projects we have in the program today. And we're thankful for the opportunity to kick off that project tonight here with you and to give you an update on what we've done so far since we resumed work on the project earlier this year. We put together a slide presentation that will show you our schedule, our scope, and a sequence of work of how we plan to stage our construction in the city. We also have some renderings that will show you what the final product will look like, what the elevated station will look like, and what the grade separation will look like when we finish construction. The goal of our project is to improve safety by eliminating conflicts between vehicles and trains, between pedestrians and trains at crossings between I-380 and San Felipe Avenue in the city. The goal of the city of San Bruno is also to provide a centerpiece focal point for the city's future plans. One of the key factors that's driving our schedule now is a new funding source that requires us to award the construction contract by July of 2010. Now, in order to meet that date, we accelerated our design process and just completed the preliminary design phase. Starting next month, we intend to start the final design phase and finish that in 5 months. Following that will be a procurement period that lasts from February to June of 2010, during which we will advertise the project, get our bids, and award the contract at the end of that period during a board meeting in July of next year. One of the things that I wanted to point out is those dates are key to making this project successful because it's a requirement that we have, like I said earlier, as a requirement of one of the key funding sources that we have on the project. Another thing I wanted to show you are the dates during which the city will be impacted by either underground work or street closures. So in the spring of next year, even before we award our contract, we expect to have our utility companies, such as the fiber companies, the water company, PG&E, Kinder Morgan, maybe relocate their lines or protect them in place before we start construction. Now, construction will last a little less than 2 years. That will be from September 2010 to June of 2012, during which we'll have two periods of street closures. In the spring of 2011, what we anticipate is we're going to have at least, maybe at most 2 weekends, during which we'll have to close maybe 2 of the crossings. That will allow us to transfer operations to a temporary track structure that we're going to build, which we call a shoe fly. We're going to build that while we build the grade separation. We're going to use that while we build the grade separation. And then the following year, we'll do the opposite. We'll transfer operations from the temporary track to the permanent grade separated structure. Okay? So just want to point out the vehicular crossings will be at Angus Avenue, San Mateo Avenue, and San Bruno Avenue. With the scope of project we have now, there will be no work at Scott Avenue. It will remain open. The pedestrian crossings will be at Sylvan. There will be one at the new San Bruno Caltrain station and a third at Euclid Avenue. With respect to the right-of-way issues, we've been fortunate because we will not have any major property takes for this project. The project is well within our right-of-way. Now we'll have a minor property acquisition that we need to do with Melody Toyota. It's approximately 160 square yards. We're also going to have to permanently relocate 10 parking spaces from Artichoke Joe's, and there will be a temporary loss of parking at Artichoke Joe's due to sewer line reconstruction that may last about 3 or 4 months. The next slides will show you how we intend to face the construction work. And toward the end, I'll have the renderings that I spoke about earlier. Okay? I don't know if you can see this clearly, but the intent of this is to give you an aerial view of where construction will take place. So right here, this is Angus. Well, let me see. This is north, here going south. So we have San Bruno, San Mateo. I can barely see it, I'm sorry, but here's Angus. And then the southern tip of our project will be San Felipe. Now I want to show you right here. Here's our existing Caltrain station. One of the first things we're going to do is build a temporary station here south of the existing station. Once that's built, we'll demolish the existing station because the grade separation goes right through that alignment, and we'll start operating from this temporary station. This slide just shows the northern limit of the project, which will be I-380. As I mentioned earlier, Scott is north of that, and the northern limit of our project is right here, so Scott is not part of the project. Okay, I just want to orient you because I'm going to use this same slide for the next few slides. This is the existing alignment we have today. Here's San Bruno Avenue entering the city. Here's San Mateo Avenue, First Avenue, and Huntington Avenue. So this is currently how we operate. Here's our train on the main line. Early in construction, we're going to build what we call a temporary shoe fly. These were the temporary tracks we were talking about earlier. So that's the first part of construction. Once that's done, we transfer operations from the main line to the temporary line. That will allow us to now demolish our existing tracks and start construction at this area. Now this slide shows several things. Let me start here in San Bruno Avenue. San Bruno will be lowered, and we're also going to build the support structure for a bridge that will go over San Bruno Avenue. While we're doing that, we'll have detours that will allow traffic to continue through San Bruno. Similarly, in San Mateo Avenue, we're going to lower San Mateo Avenue, have the same type support structure for the bridge. While we're doing that, the detour will be just north of that for San Mateo Avenue. Finally, I want to show you the mechanically stabilized embankments, also known as the MSE walls. Those are the brown structures you see here. So this shows the start of construction for those walls. Here we see the final alignment of San Bruno and San Mateo Avenue and the support structures for the bridges that will be built over San Bruno, over San Mateo. Angus isn't shown here, but we're going to have a similar thing on Angus. Here we're showing construction of the bridges, and then down here, here's the pedestrian tunnel I was talking about that will be at the station. Here we're showing the completed two-track structure and the completed southbound platform. Also here you see Posey Park, which is part of our project. And one of the things I want to point out, at this point, all street work, all underground work will be done. Everything that needs to be, that will be disruptive as far as traffic is concerned will be done at this point. Okay, next slide. Before I get into the next 4 slides, one of the things that we've always been asked for our Caltrain projects is how do we integrate with high-speed rail? And the next 4 slides will show you how we plan to do that with the likelihood of high-speed rail coming into San Bruno and into the peninsula. Now, what we're showing here is if high-speed rail doesn't come, or if they're going to start much later than we anticipate, we're going to complete the northbound platform. What that does now, it gives us a fully functional station. We can transfer operations from the temporary station into the functional station and run Caltrain from here. Now, if high-speed rail comes, we'll change that approach a little bit. We won't have to build the northbound platform at that location. We widen the tracks to now provide a 4-track grade-separated structure, okay? And then we build the northbound platform at the end of that width. Now, the reason I'm showing this widened platform here is high-speed rail needs to have its environmental clearance to build additional tracks because the clearance is related to increased capacity. If they don't have that yet, we can widen this platform temporarily to continue to allow access to the trains. If they have their clearance already, then we don't have to build that platform. We can just build all 4 tracks and complete the 4-track elevated structure. So the next 6 slides, I think, will just show you the renderings that we have to show you the completed project. So here's a view from Posey Park looking north. So here's San Mateo Avenue, and further is San Bruno Avenue. Now this goes at the opposite side. This is a view from San Mateo Avenue looking south. Here's a view from the northbound platform looking south, and just further from the northbound platform looking south again. View from the Caltrain station parking lot looking south. And then finally, just an idea of what this station will look like and the finish underneath that from San Bruno Avenue looking south. Now, in order to keep the public up to date with progress on the project and the schedule that we have, we intend to combine forces with the city to update the city council with meetings and presentations, to conduct public meetings, especially in the neighborhoods that are most affected by construction, make a presentation to the Chamber of Commerce, and then just give you updates as soon as we have an approved construction schedule. Okay? That's the end of the presentation. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from council?
Maybe a question for Mark.
Yes, sir.
I know the renderings, look kind of gray and bland, if you will, but we worked very hard with Caltrain and through the CAC to develop a number of elements, if you will. Will we be confident that those are all included in this plan?
All included. I think that's a good question. You know, one of the difficulties of the expedited schedule is that a lot of those things are still being worked on and still being sorted out. I think Lyria can actually answer that question more effectively than I. You want to talk about that?
We know what those elements are. We've discussed it with the city, and we're looking at which ones we can accommodate. We're trying to reach resolution on all of them. Mm-hmm. So,
but that's part of this process going forward?
Yes, part of the process.
All right, because I know that we worked very hard, and some of those meetings were kind of contentious, but in the end, we all pretty much agreed. So I hope I have the confidence that we're going to go forward with pretty much everything we talked about.
We'll do our best to incorporate what we can.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
One of the complications is that the budget is set, and if over time some of these items result in increased cost, it's something we have to talk about. And the staff's been very good at working on these issues, and I have to tell you, very good at advocating on behalf of the city, which is, of course, what they're supposed to do.
Good.
But it's a process. It isn't something that's necessarily going to just sort of come out the way everybody wants it. It's going to have to be some give and take.
Right.
Irene?
Thank you. I wasn't aware that you had enough right-of-way to put 4 tracks. So the 4-track rendering, there's no taking, it's just what we have?
That's correct.
Fabulous.
It's one of the, as we've been engaged in a vigorous discussion over high-speed rail, one of the pieces of information that hasn't really come out is something like 96% of our right-of-way currently can handle 4 tracks. This is one of those stretches.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Through the chair, I just wanted to echo my partner, the Vice Mayor Ruane, investing nearly 4 years on helping develop this this plan to come through our city. And I understand that we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars here and things, and we're talking, you know, and high-speed rail is talking another 61 grade separations throughout the state. The thing is that we have a community that is understood that we were looking out for them and hoping to ease the impact of this grade separation on them. And so we did spend a lot of time, not just for colors and textures and things, but actual, designs that would, sort of hide this thing as much as it can, or make it as presentable as it can. And so circulation-wise, material-wise, landscaping-wise and stuff, I think it's, I understand that it's tough to commit right now, but I mean, it's, we're going to be pushing all the way to the end for those items also.
We understand that, and we expect it, and I want to make sure you all understand, we respect the process you went through, and we're going to remain respectful of that process all the way through. We don't, your staff is not somebody who just lets us run over them anyway, nor would we be inclined to, but we understand your concerns. Believe me, we committed considerable staff resources to participating in this process, and we want that to be meaningful from our perspective as well.
I just want to say, I mean, we're very anxious, and,
sure.
and like I said, I mean, this is something that we've been looking for, for this during this entire decade and working on. And I can't say enough about how the cooperation, how the working with Caltrain and the JPB has been, and I think it's happening now, and I'd hate for it to get any more contentious than it should be.
Well, we're in concurrence with that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming this evening, giving us the update. We look forward to it being completed. Excuse me, there's a member of the public who wants to speak on this issue. I'm sorry.
Robert Rico, 7th Avenue. I've got 2 questions. You talk about underground utilities. That's going to be taken care of. There's flood control drainage pipes that come under there that may need to be rerouted. Has it been agreed who's going to cover the cost? Is the city going to cover some of that? Are you? I don't need the answers as much as it's been agreed to. And we're going to have elevators and ADA access and all to the station for. Thank you.
Those are part of the features that we talked about earlier that we're still working on with the city.
Let me just add. We can't build a station that doesn't have ADA access. I don't want to mislead you. That doesn't necessarily mean elevators, but we can't build it without ADA access. So we will.
What about the piping underground?
Caltrain's going to pay for it. That's not a problem.
I believe those issues are either being worked out, have been worked out, or will be worked out.
There is an understanding.
Yeah.
And that's another very important issue to the people of this community, to echo my other two colleagues, so put that on the list as well.
Well, I believe it's on the list.
Good.
To use your quote, a mere elevated train won't elevate San Bruno, so we know you'll want to do it just the right way, being the city is your alma mater. So. Thank you. Thank you again for coming down. I appreciate it. Connie?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to add one of the things that I think we as a city are going to need to address in a very short period of time is our real ability to stay on this project and to keep pace with Caltrain. The schedule, as they have mentioned, is very important to them. It's of strong interest and advantageous to us now that we've waited these several years for the grade separation that we had anticipated and on an earlier delivery schedule. I have been clear with Caltrain that our staffing resources don't match theirs, and as much as we understand the schedule, that we may need to make some adjustments in our work priorities in order to stay up with them, and obviously it will require our continuing committed attention to deal with the numbers of issues that we expect to have to deal with. As such, the Community Public Services Director and I have begun to discuss what, in real terms, we might need to discuss with you about resources in order to meet that commitment and to address the concerns that I anticipate you will continue to have and we will continue to have as this project moves along on a fast pace. So we will be coming back to you probably at the next meeting to discuss that a little bit further.
Thank you. Again, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.